So when adding and subtracting integers, you can turn any of them into just simple addition or simple subtraction using your understanding of the number line. You just have to be careful and make sure you understand if your answer is going to be positive or if your answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to start at 8 minus the negative 25, and I'm just going to go down this column, but I'm going to skip a few because I'm not going to do every example for you. And then I'm going to start back up at 3 plus negative 18 and go down that column. Okay, so you'll be able to see each question, and I've done a little marking next to them so I know which columns that I want to talk about. I'm going to try and do a couple from each different type. So this first example, we have an 8 subtracted by a negative 25. So this is one where all you have to do is rewrite it. This is the same as 8 plus 25. And then boom, right away, you've got simple addition. If you want to stack in order to add those, you can. 5 plus 8 is going to be 13. So carry the 1. 1 plus 2 gives you 3. This is going to be 33. Okay? Next, here's one where we need our number line. We are starting with the number negative 22. So I'm going to draw this number line, mark a 0 in the middle, and this first number is negative 22. So it's going to be to the left. Now, this is 22 to the left. So if I draw an arrow showing where this number is, the length of this arrow is going to be 22. Next, we are adding 15. So if we add, we are now moving to the right from this point. And I'm drawing this arrow a little bit shorter because it only has a length of 15, which is not as large as 22. So what you should notice with this example is that where you're going to end up is going to be on the left side of 0, and it is equal to whatever this distance is. So the total distance from 0 to negative 22 is 22. You're going back a length of 15. So the remaining part needs to add up to 22. So we can subtract to figure this out. Just take 22 and subtract 15, and then we know what this remaining distance is. So we can't do 2 minus 5 right here. So we're going to borrow from this 2, call it 10, and make this one 12. 12 minus 5 is going to give you 7. 1 minus 1 is eliminated, so we get 7. Now be careful though. The answer to negative 22 plus 15 is not positive 7. We are still on the left side. This length was 7, but where we are located is at a negative 7. So negative 22 plus 15 is equal to negative 7. All right, next one. Just erase this stuff so I have some room. We have a negative 19 that is being subtracted by 15. So I'm going to draw an arrow that represents where we are for negative 19. That's where we're starting. And then this says minus 15. So that means we are going further to the left, 15. So where we end up now, this total distance is 19 plus 15. So go ahead and stack to add those two numbers. 19 plus 15. 9 plus 5 gives us 14. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives us 3. But careful, the solution is not 34. Your answer when adding these two is not 34 because we are on the left side of 0. We are actually at a negative 34. A common misunderstanding is that two negatives make a positive. Only when multiplying. These two negatives are not making a positive because we are going down into those negatives. Next, we have a negative 12 that is being added by a negative 6. Now let's rewrite this problem. Adding negative 6 is the same as subtracting 6. Take a look at that. We have two negative numbers. We are subtracting 12 and subtracting 9. Sorry, subtracting 12 and subtracting 6, the same as the previous problem. So what we're going to end up with is two arrows that we are going to add together. We've got negative 12, and then we've got negative 6. So these two distances are going to add to make our total distance. 12 plus 6 is going to be 18, which means we end up at negative 18. Negative 12 plus negative 6 equals negative 18. All right, we're going to do the next one, and then we're going to skip these next two, because these next two down here are just simple addition. I'll go ahead and write 7 plus 2 is 9, 6 plus 10 is 16. No number lines needed for those two. So let's draw our number line for this next one. We are starting at negative 8. So if I mark 0 in the middle, this number is to the left 8. So this arrow's length is 8. Next, we are adding 4. So that means we are moving back to the right. So if I draw an arrow that takes us to the right 4, we are going to end up somewhere in between 0 and negative 8, because 4 is smaller than 8. So what is this remaining length? Well, the big number, which is 8, subtracted by that smaller number, which is 4, is going to be 4. So we end up at a negative 4. So negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. And if you start at a negative number, like negative 8, and you add, you're going to have to add a number that is bigger than 8 in order to end up in the positives. That's how you end up over here, somewhere in this region. Okay? So let's find an example like that. So these here, this one down at the bottom, that's just two negatives. That's negative 19 minus 9 more. We did an example like that already. These are all either simple addition or two negatives, two negatives. Let's see, simple addition. So let's keep moving. These are two negatives, two negatives, two negatives. And then this last one in the left column is also two negatives. So let's take a look at the top right. Aha, I am starting. This one's a little bit different. So this is another one. We are starting with a positive number now. So let's draw a number line. And we are starting with a positive number. But we are subtracting a bigger number. So this is not simple subtraction. If I start at positive 3, right here, this arrow has a length of positive 3. And since we are now adding negative 18, that's the same as 3 minus 18, we are subtracting 18, we're going to go to the left 18. And notice I'm drawing this arrow longer because it's bigger than 3. So the question is, how far to the left of 0 do we end up? If the total distance here is 18, you have to subtract this distance of 3 to figure out your remaining distance here. So 18, take away 3. 8 minus 3 is going to give you 15. But that is not your answer. It is not 15 because we are on the left side of 0 once again. 3 minus 18 is a negative 15. That's where we end up, negative 15. The next example is a negative 23 plus 10. Make sure you rewrite that. We've done a couple examples like that, as is this one. Let's find, so this is also the same. Let's find an example Here we go. Another one where we have a positive number, where we are adding a negative 21. This is the same as 11 minus 21. We're starting with a positive and subtracting a number that is larger than it. So let's see how this looks. Let's start at a positive 11. So this arrow has a length of 11. We are now subtracting 21, so we're going to go left 21. Notice this arrow is longer because it's bigger than 21. So we have to figure out where we are going to end up. So this total distance, 21, subtracted by this distance of 11, tells you what this remaining distance is going to be. 21 minus 11. 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. We get 10, but it's not 10. It is negative 10. That might be the last example. These next two are both negatives. What else we got? Simple addition, both negatives. Here we go. This is the one I was thinking about. We have a negative number, but we are adding something bigger than it. So instead of drawing your number line being in the negatives, right, but not making it past 0, we're adding a bigger number, so we are going to make it to the positives again. So let's see how this one works out. We are at a negative 2 to start. So there's our arrow for negative 2. It has a length of 2. And then we are adding 9. So we're going to the right 9. Showing that one a little bit longer because it's a bigger number. So in order to figure out how far into the positives we make it, what number is that? We've got to take the big arrow, subtract this smaller arrow, which is 2, to find our remaining distance. So 9 take away 2 is 7, and this solution is a positive 7 because we are ending up on the right side of 0. Now, in the last video, I talked about sometimes rearranging two numbers makes the problem easier. That holds true in this example. If you switch the order, keep the 9 positive, keep that 2 negative, 9 minus 2 actually is simple subtraction. Oh, not 5, sorry. 7 is simple subtraction, which is why we are able to end up in the positives. Here are a few more examples that you can practice. Subtraction, subtraction. Adding a negative is the same as subtracting 11. Adding negative 3 is the same as subtracting 3, so that one's just simple subtraction. And then here you have a positive number that is being subtracted by 24. 24 is bigger, so it's not simple subtraction. You're going to end up in the negatives. So go ahead and try those examples. You can check your work with a calculator. And then in the next video, we will apply this learning to some word problems.